Today, we're going to talk about getting strong. And so let's clear something up. Because the internet has completely lost the plot on what strength training actually is. Let's get in this. All right. So I'm going to throw out some behaviors and you tell me, is this smart training or just dumbass energy? All right. Okay. Prioritizing single leg lift work over the full lifts.
Man, that you gotta lead with something easy. Can I get a layup? Prioritizing single leg lift over
the full
main
lifts.
compound movement.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the false is, but false.
False. Okay, there we go. There we go. I like that. Smelling salts during warm-ups.
No.
Oh man, see, I feel like there's never a bad time for smelling salts, you know? All right. Calling missed lifts training makes if they were close enough.
No, false.
False. Okay. Hitting a max single every Friday just to see where you're at.
False. Terrible.
Okay. We got to know where you're okay. What about missing lifts in training on purpose to prove you can come back after a miss?
Worst. I've never heard a worse idea in my life. I've never the worst way to train.
Making women's t-shirts in an apparel brand is the
worst. Yeah, also
women's cut. They just want the unisex. All right.
Yeah.
Maxing out after a bad night of sleep to build mental toughness.
Terrible. Worst idea.
So none of these are good.
None.
What about standing on a Basu ball while you're doing stuff?
Maybe if you have like roller skates and a Basu ball, then check green flag.
Yeah.
Yep, green
not
light.
roller blades. That's a balance.
Yeah,
that's too much for skates.
skate.
You get the quad wheels going there.
You can wrap around, you know.
Gotta go right around the sides of it, you know.
Yeah.
Talk about the women's t-shirts. When I said unisex shirt, reminded me there was it was these sandals someone was wearing. Oh no, it was shoes. There's this particular shoes. If I can remember, if I think of the name of it, I'll let you know. But this guy that was working for us, Caffeine Kilos, was wearing them. And he was like, yeah, dude, I was like, those are women's shoes. You don't wear those. And he's like, no, they're unisex. And I said, no, they're not unisex. They're unisex. They're unosex. They're one sex. They're women's. Those are women's shoes. Like that's what's going on. They're not unisex. They're uno.
How
would
you
unosex.
Mix that up?
Yeah. Anyway, all right. And that was the last day he wore high heels. Okay. With me today, one guy who spent most of his life under a barbell. We have Tom Kallas, the elite powerlifter, world record holder, gym owner, and a man who's been squatting over 500 pounds since he was 16 years old, which explains a lot.
Yep.
All right. And I'm Danny Lehr from Caffeine Kilos, gym owner, coffee dealer, and your friendly moderator who's going to ask you questions and tell you while you're wrong. Welcome to Not in My Box. And for the record, I squatted over 500 pounds 3 times in my entire life, and they were all around the age of 32. So
really? How many years were you squatting before you hit it?
Oh, like man.
10,
I started.
dozen?
I started squatting in high school, but not really training like lifting, wrestling team. We go to the weight room. I threw shot put and discus. We go to the weight room and did some squats. Right. But, training, like actually like focusing on, and then, after high school, I got into CrossFit. I was pretty young. And so I was squatting just kind of when we were doing that type thing. So it was a slow build. I probably squatted over 400 pounds, in my mid 20s, early to mid 20s.
Yeah,
but then it was when I was competing. That's
pretty strong.
What's up?
It's a strong squat for a CrossFitter at that time. Like it's
not bad. I mean, double body weight, so you get something there. And then when I was training weightlifting, I pushed my squat up a little bit more, and I think I hit like 230 kilos. It's like 508 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I had that for about 3 months. And then, so yeah. All right. Before we get too far, we want to see how broken you really are. So just give a little sneak peek into how you think here. Squat, high bar or low bar?
Low bar.
Okay. Straps, crime or a tool?
Straps, not wraps. Straps.
Tool.
All
right. We agree on one of those two things. Okay. Training is better alone or with the team?
Team.
Well, of course. I don't know who anybody that says alone, they got bigger problems, man. All right. True or false? If you don't feel beat up, you didn't train hard enough.
False.
Oh, interesting.
Easy.
People get strong and like feel good.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it depends on the athlete, but if you're really into a powerlifting cycle, your bones should hurt. But outside of that, like you don't have soreness doesn't necessarily equal strength.
I agree. It's just like getting people sweaty and like breathing hard.
Yeah, I can
making someone
sweat,
puke doesn't make a good workout, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah, you want to make someone sore, you just have them do 400 meters of walking lunges. That shit works every time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right. The worst sentence in strength sports is trust the process.
False.
All right. You got to trust the process.
I don't think it's the worst.
I mean, what is the worst? What is the worst sentence?
The worst is it'll be there on meet day.
Oh, really?
What do you mean? Is it automatic that you're going to get hyped up and then you'll get stronger because you decided to? Like it'll be there on meet day is the worst. No,
yeah.
Either will you?
Maybe. All right. So we've established some emotional damage. Let's talk training. So here's the question every CrossFitter, gym bro, and washed up athlete eventually asks is how do I actually get strong? And this is where the confusion sets in. What do we want? Do we need linear progressions based on percentages or just adding 5 pounds forever? Do you need to do the Bulgarian method or conjugate, the hatch squat program or Wendler? Is it a low bar back squat or high bar and vibes? Everyone's convinced their method is the method and everyone else is either soft, stupid, or leaving gains on the table. But don't forget, 2 things can be simultaneously true. Their method can be right and they can still be soft and stupid. So today we're going to break it all down. What does an average training week look like for powerlifting versus weightlifting, volume versus intensity, maxing out and training, deadlift frequency, variations, conjugate, Bulgarian methods, and which ideas actually transfer and which ones are just internet folklore. So, Tom, let's paint the picture here. What does an actual week, obviously an average week, if we have to pick a time around a meet, we'll say that there's not a weightlifting meet or there's not a powerlifting meet coming up, right? We're call it 3 months out from, the next competition. All right. So paint the picture. What does a week of training look like for we'll say a mid-level powerlifter, right? So maybe we'll take that, we'll take 28-year-old Danny, right? Someone who maybe, did some squatting and stuff in high school on their sports teams. And then they've just started powerlifting. They did a couple meets, for the past couple years, maybe if they're 200 pounds, they're squatting around, 475, 500, something like that. They're kind of on the upswing still, a lot of meat on the bone, but not necessarily a novice, right? So we're just talking like someone trying to push it a little bit. Like what does an average week look like as far as, number of training days, what kind of lifts are they doing in those training sessions and so on?
Okay. I got a really short answer and then a very long one that might just take an hour. So
yeah, I know that's what I,
in general, for the setting the picture you painted, I would probably put them on a 5-day program. You'd have like a call it your bench Monday. So I base the programming off of the main movements, right? So upper/bench Monday, Tuesday would be your lower and deadlift, hamstring based. Wednesday, you might have like your weakness day. So maybe if your back's kind of weak or, you could throw in just some arms that day just to kind of keep you moving. Thursday would be a shoulder overhead day, maybe with some light chest incorporated if chest is one of your weaknesses. And there's some weaknesses we can address in a lighter format along with a overhead day. And then Friday would be a squat day. And as the meet prep went on, you'd probably lose some of those days, typically sometimes 3. You'd end up training 3 to 4 times a week as you're kind of leading up to the meet. Now, as far as like strength variance, so if the picture you painted, I would base it off you.
Hold on, let's hop in there a little bit on those. This might take an hour. So with that, I noticed the squatting on Friday, right? And I'm assuming this is kind of based off a Monday through Friday routine. I know that's not necessarily ideal, but that's just kind of how most people's schedules go, right? Yep. And so if that's the case, I find that interesting. So why the squat on Friday instead of, so I would think the squat on a Monday or earlier in the week could make more sense based on the fact that it's a more taxing movement than say like the bench press. And so squatting after a week of, you beating me up might be more challenging, or I may struggle to hit higher numbers compared to like benching on that last day.
Mm-hmm. So
am I a soft idiot, or where are we at here?
no, there's two different kind of ways to look at it. I get what you're saying. Like, could you be, okay, I'm day 5 in, now I'm tired, dude. Well, if I beat the shit out of you for the first 4 days, I probably didn't program correctly. The reason why we do squat Fridays is because typically meets are Saturdays or Sundays. So what we like to do is 1 to 2 weeks out based on the athlete will be your last heavy. So then it gives you exactly, call it 7 days, 8 days, depending if you're Saturday, Sunday lifter. It gives you 8 days to deload if you need a week off of your heaviest lift, or sometimes I'll take 2 weeks off and I won't squat heavy for 2 weeks, and I'll take 3 weeks off deadlift just because I get so taxed doing it. Now it's a different type of taxing. Like you're saying, like, I'm going to be so sore. You don't necessarily get as sore. We're more worried about a CNS recovery,
correct,
versus a muscle recovery, especially in the nitty gritty of the prep.
Well, soreness doesn't matter. People need to understand, because if you're just sore muscles, once you warm up, you're going to perform just as well as before. Right. Yeah. Whereas it's the CNS is the problem, right? Like I remember the big people ask sometimes like the difference, how you like training as a competitive weightlifter compared to like just training CrossFit or whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, doing just like CrossFit more, it's like I might be sore and like I'm looking at these stairs and like it's going to hurt to go up them, but that's fine. Training as a weightlifter, we're talking 9 sessions a week type of a thing. It's like, no, like I look at the stairs, like I'm not convinced I'm physically capable of getting my body up them. Right. It's because my central nervous system is so shot. Like, dude, it's all I can do to put one foot in front of the other, on like a day-to-day basis. Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, so not as much from the soreness, more of the idea of just like, are people going to be, is their CNS going to be fried out or not? Right.
Yeah. And it comes down to just basic recovery. I mean, it's simple: food, rest, supplementation. And if you can hit those things, your CNS is fine. And a real easy way to tell, and like when you're lifting heavy, especially in the powerlifting world, is if I'm squatting and let's say I'm shooting for 750 for a double that day, and I hit 675, 700 as my last warm up, and I'm like shaking. Yeah, that's CNS. Now I can hit the weight, but it's going to be a lot harder because everything is shaking. So now I have to work on stability as I'm shaking all my way down to parallel to come back up. So you can tell, hey, you're not ready for 750. You don't do it.
Is that why on every Tuesday and Thursday you program in number one accessory work, the shake weight or the tug toner?
Yeah, because then you can get used to it. So then if it surprises you, hey, I know this movement. I'm familiar with this.
There we go.
Been down this road. This was my warm up. Got it.
Very good. So now let's take a day, right? We'll say deadlift / hamstring day, whatever. So within that deadlift workout, like take us through what a day would look like on that deadlift day, as far as, are there, you're going to break it down, but like, are we doing the full movement? Are we doing variations? Are we doing both? How many accessories are we doing other than the tug toner and the shake weight?
Yeah. After those obviously are done at home in the privacy of your bathroom, you come into the gym. Typically it may be like a 5 to 10 minute incline warm up, just to warm up the legs, especially out here, because in December, it's nice to just kind of get a little warm before you start actually moving. We really prioritize accessories before main movements, because the issue is if you do a little warm up and then main movement, you're like, I don't want to do any of this anymore. It's like abs. Like you got to do them first or you're never going to do them. Right. So we'll do a lot of like single leg stuff, activation stuff, maybe like a lot of step ups to get some firing, some pull throughs with a cable or a band, some lying leg curls, some RDLs, anything kind of like that. I like a lot of like the banded pull throughs, the cable pull throughs, just to get those hips firing, maybe like a belt squat wide, try to get things moving. So I'm usually probably 5 to 8 exercises deep. Then I start deadlifting. And depending on the athlete, if you have a weakness and I can address it 12 weeks out, I'm going to address it. Now, in the picture you painted, if you didn't have a general weakness, I would probably lean, because of lack of experience, onto doing more straight barbell movements, because we really like variety of the compound movements. So like a deficit deadlift, a trap bar deadlift, which Wes hates, but a banded deadlift, right? A rack pull. We love the variations to work on weak points. But if someone's just not that familiar with the barbell, I'm like, yeah, I've done 2 meets. I'm like, well, yeah, I've done 30. Like, so you're just not ready. You need to learn the barbell and then build the strength with it. So we can we don't need to put a lot of variance in your compound lifting. I need you to get better at deadlifting this straight barbell. Right. So it'd probably be a lot of warm-ups and then just kind of hammering, maybe depending on the cycle you're in, the rep ranges. But usually you're right around 70-75%, the low end of rep ranges up to like 95 throughout the 12-week period.
So over those 12 weeks, does the volume change in the accessory work as well, or just in the main lift? Are we talking when we're 12 weeks out? I imagine higher volume as far as rep counts. And so like what do rep ranges look like, from 12 weeks out and then, compared to like, call it 3 weeks out?
So the accessories won't really change because we've always done accessories anywhere from the lowest 8 reps to 20 reps. Generally, you're in that 12 to 15 rep range. And that's kind of where you can get the cardiovascular benefit, the muscle building, right? And then strengthening your little weaknesses with single leg stuff and the reprogram. As far as the compound movement, you'd be doing probably a lot of rep ranges let's call it 12 weeks out in the 20 to 24 rep range. So you do that by doing an 8x3, a 6x4, a 5x5. So you'd get around that upper or middle, about 20 some reps, 25-ish. And then as you call it 3 weeks out, depending on the athlete, you might be ready to hit your heaviest single of the prep. Now it's not the single you want. Like if you really want to squat 500 at the meet, I don't need you unless it's a confidence issue. And like, you're like, dude, I'm just not confident. I need to feel it. Like, okay, fine. If you got to fine, let's just do 500. You need to feel it that bad. Like you could do it, but typically I'll hold them back and be like, hey, what if we smoke 485 or we smoke 490? We know 500 is going to be there and we might hit that for 3 sets of 3 weeks out or 2 weeks out. Like, hey, you're ready. We'll deload the week after you hit, depending on the athlete. Sometimes they're like, I need to feel my opener. I typically talk people out of that. No, you don't. You know what your opener is. You need to do like 50% for a 5x5, 3x5. You just need to move blood until almost the day of the meet. So you'll get into that up like middle 20s rep ranges. It'll come down to like 16 to 20, 8-ish weeks out. And then when you're in that 2 to 4 week rep range, we're doing singles or doubles, but we're not 100%. We're not testing because we're still building. We're still learning the patterns, learning the movements, maybe tweaking a couple things. So it's like, it just really depends on the client. But that's in general, that's how we would program it.
So within each set, we're not doing sets of 10, sets of 12.
No,
on the main
not in the compounds. Yeah.
Not in the compounds. Kind of keep those kind of like 5 or 6 reps at the high
5 and under. Yeah. Especially in preps, 5 and under. 5 sets of 5 would be the most reps you'll ever do. Typically it'd be a 6 or 4 or an 8x3. And then you'll have 3 to 4 minutes between those. That's why you're at the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Because you're like in a meet, you got to mimic the meet, right? Practice how you play. You might be 10 or 12 deep in a lineup. Okay. That's 10 or 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're used to lifting every 3 minutes. You're going to get real cold when your wait time triples. So it's like, you have to practice how you play. And you're like, yeah, my wife would be like, okay, you're squatting at 4, you'd be home at 7:30. Yep. Yeah. It takes a while to get to 800. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to wait 10 minutes because if I rush it, 1, I'll be fatigued. And 2, it's not how it's going to be in the meet.
Yeah. Also, you need more than a 2-minute clock between 645 and 700 pounds, right? Like that's the thing. Like at the lighter weights, you can get away with a little bit more, but as it gets, the heavier it gets, the more rest you need. And to a certain point, okay, it's like, it's funny. You could say it's all relative, right? Yeah, but it's also not, right? Meaning like, okay, it's like, okay, if you're squatting, okay, I'll speak from my own experience instead of projecting. Like if I'm squatting in the high 400s or low 500s, I'm not making 100-pound. I might make a 100-pound jump from, I might go 135 to 225, but like that's probably it. Like once I'm over 300 pounds, I'm not making these massive jumps, even though that may only be 50% of what my max is. It doesn't matter. It's still 300 pounds. There's still room for error that you don't want to mess with. Right.
We see that a lot as people will try to keep up with us on Fridays. And me and my buddy Cam, if we're feeling good, we're squatting 6, 7, 8 plates all day long.
Right.
And it's like, hey, you squat 315. Why are you going 2 plates to 3 plates? No, there's like 30-pound jumps in there. You need to hit that. Well, I don't want to be. No, it's not annoying. Like it's not relative, but it is relative.
Right.
You need to do what's relatively right for you, not because Tom does it. I mean, it doesn't work that way.
Right. And then once it gets to a certain weight, you got to take smaller jumps anyway, no matter what your max is. Right. And so that's kind of how it goes. interesting that you talked about accessory first. This is something I'm going to relate this a little bit to the CrossFit side, but where a lot of gyms, if they're doing 2 parts of a program, if they're doing like a strength and then also the Metcon afterwards, a conditioning piece afterwards, traditionally you see people do that strength aspect first, right? Mm-hmm. And I think part of the idea is like, hey, you do this, you warm up for it, you do the strength while you have more energy, and then you can get tired after your muscles are kind of tired, right?
Right, in a Metcon.
Yeah. In a Metcon, right. Now, this guy, Seth Page, is on here at the show sometimes, one of the panelists, and he's like a big advocate talking about like, oh no, you should do 2 pieces, even in the gym and the class and this thing. And we're kind of like, I don't know, man, like we've done that, but then I feel like we're just going through the motions. We don't warm up properly, all this. And he was like, no, I do it the other way. Like they do their conditioning piece and then follow it up with the strength work. That's how they do it most of the time. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, see, like normally that's the exception, not the rule. Like maybe people do that occasionally, but they usually hit the main lift first, right? And so I think that a lot of people, I could be wrong, but my belief was anyway, from what I've seen, is a lot of powerlifting kind of does that same thing. You like warm up, get loose, do the main lifts, and then do your accessories at the end. But you do the opposite. You do those accessories first as almost part of an extended warm up, and so you don't find that hinders your ability to put out on the big lifts.
I used to. So that's what I thought too. I'm like, I just need to be warm. I'm 25. I could do whatever I want. You know what I mean? I can do nothing. I could just touch my toes and I can go squat 315.
Hell yeah, dude. Load it up. Yeah.
Like, but at a certain point, it's like I started training with my business partner now, Jacob Ross. And he's like, just try doing your squat workout backwards. And I'm like, listen, dude, I know what I'm doing. Okay. I'm like, I have multiple world records. Like, Jacob, that's not how powerlifting works. And he's
stronger
like,
you are, dude. What are you like?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm stronger than you. What are you talking about? And he's like, he goes, as you get older, you're going to get more injury and you're going to want to be warmer throughout the movement. He goes, and you won't be weaker. Everybody thinks like, oh, I'm going to do my accessories. By the time I get to my squat, I'm going to be tired. Well, yeah, if I do lying leg curls till I vomit, I'm probably not going to have a very good squat day. But if I warm up correctly, so he would teach me how to like warm up, like we would prehab.
Yeah.
Then we would train accessories in a smart fashion to work on weakness and instabilities. And then by the time I started squatting, I'm like, oh my God, I feel great. Like one plate, sometimes you put a plate on the bar and you're like, oh, it's going to be one of those days.
For sure.
And then some days you're like, this is nothing. And then we would get to a point where I would warm up for, call it 30 minutes of prehab and accessories. And I would do double plate flips until I hit 700. So in 4 sets, I'd go 1, 3, 5, 700. Yeah. And I'm done. And I felt great. I'm like, I could do 180-pound jumps because I was so warm. Everything was good to go. I was firing and I was strong enough to do it. I was like, sweet. This actually makes sense.
I've noticed, I will say one thing, I'm 41. And one thing I've definitely noticed as I do get a little bit older, which I don't feel like I'm old, but like definitely training, it feels different now.
Training age is old. Training age. 20 years, 25 years of lifting.
Totally. And, a big part of that is just how long it takes to warm up. That's like the biggest thing. And honestly, it's funny. Like that's why I do the class at my gym. Like I don't work out. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, but I don't train on my own because like I don't warm up as much as I should. Mm-hmm. I just know this, right? And if I do the class, like I'm doing everything we're doing. Someone's telling me what to do. I do the full warm up. I feel better. But even then, a lot of times when we're like starting the workout, I'm like, man, I can't wait till 6 minutes into this thing. Because like, I just know like, 4 to 6 minutes, like I'm okay now. Like I got some blood flow. I got some synovial fluid, like my joints feel good. My joints are cool. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. My muscle, I'm warming up, whatever. But like, I just know in 5 or 6 minutes into this thing, I'm going to be loose. Like I'm not loose yet. It's safe. I'm safe to work out. I can get in the positions I need to get, but like my muscles aren't firing. And I think that's a misconception a little bit as well, is that getting warm is about, it's like, okay, yeah, heart rate's up a little, maybe you broke a little sweat, maybe not, but it's like, I went through I've got the mobility, right? I've got the range of motion. My joints are good to go through the range of motion. But that's different than your muscles being ready to push. Because, getting stronger, everyone always thinks it's all about bigger muscles, more bigger, more better. And look, I'm all for bigger muscles, but the biggest part about getting stronger is what happens on the neuro side, right? And on your brain actually convincing your muscles to fire, the muscles that you have, getting them to fire, right? Like what percentage of your muscle fibers are actually contracting? your body's trying not to, right? Walking upstairs, it just wants to use the minimum possible to conserve energy because you never know when you got to run from that bear, right?
Yeah.
And so like convincing your body, like, no, dude, like we have to all work together on this. We need more of you guys to contribute to this joint moving. And I think that's the biggest part. I noticed that, again, like warming up, it's like I might feel a little bit loose, but it's different than my muscles being prepared to all contract, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That muscle firing is a big deal. Like for me, it's like, it's not make or break, but it's like, I'm gonna have a good day if it's firing. If it's not, you're like, ooh, I'm gonna have to grind. I got to go somewhere dark right now because this is going to be a very hard squat workout. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have that immediate fire and that warm up and take your time to do it correctly. You're like, oh, great. It's going to be one of those days.
I think doing the accessories work first, that's a big part of that, right? Because on the accessories, you are kind of, if not isolating muscle groups, just focusing on muscle groups more. And therefore they're required to fire because they can't rely on, it's like during a squat, if your quads aren't really pulling their weight that day, maybe your hamstrings and glutes can kind of make up for it a little bit, right? You have other muscle groups that are just going to contribute a little bit more. Whereas in a lot of the accessory works, that's not the case. You're zoning in on one muscle group and one movement pattern. And so that group has to get on board with the program.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And that's why we do it first too. Cause one, you can make stuff fire, and two, you get to, and also like as an athlete, especially it's like in the picture you painted, it's going to be, you can still build this strength. Like, yeah, we need to be better at squat, but if you could if you could single leg RDL better and more muscles are incorporated, more things are firing, like it will eventually transfer. Like you have to keep at it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of specific strength and general weaknesses you see in powerlifting, and that's why things tend to tear.
So would you say that, talk about where does this actually a little further down, leading right into it, where does strength come from? Is it more of a tonnage or neural adaptation? Are you looking for more of a hypertrophy or more of a nervous system response, or does it depend on where you are in the strength cycle?
Yeah, it'll depend a little bit on where you're on with the strength cycle. I mean, like we talked about neural, like the central nervous system, right? That firing as well, being able to be recovered enough. And it's like, you have to recover enough, but you also have to train your body enough to squat, to bench, to deadlift the weight, because you can't go and like, okay, I want to squat 500, but I haven't, or whatever. You've never squatted 500. Like, okay, we're going to take you with 4 for a while, 425, 435, 440. Then I'm going to reload you back down to 425 and have you do it again. And then we're going to slowly creep up. So that way you kind of can negate all the issues of that CNS holding you back, as opposed to like, hey, you're just not strong enough. And that's okay. But typically it's not a strength issue we see with, it's either form breakdown because of little muscles, or you might just not be that good with the movement with that barbell yet. We could see that versus, okay, hey, you're just not recovered, or you didn't train properly. And that's why you see the powerlifter shaking on meet day. You're like, well, he's really sending it today because I don't think he's ready.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because also, I think that there's the misconception about getting stronger as far as like the muscles versus the tendons and ligaments and bone structure, right? It's like a lot of times the muscles are going to adapt in your body. I mean, it's like the mom picking up the car off her baby, right? Like your muscles are probably they have a lot more capability for contraction than what they're doing, but your body's guarding that because one, it thinks it's not necessary. And that's why you got to lift these heavy ass weights to convince it that you are in fact going to die if it doesn't work harder. Right. And then also because your your connective tissues and your bone structure may not be ready. And people think of getting bigger, stronger muscles, but also your skeleton, right? Like you have a new bone structure every 6 to 12 months. And if you're lifting weights, you're going to have stronger bones, right? And ligaments and tendons will get stronger as well, but they lag behind the muscles. And so, kind of holding someone at that weight for a little bit, waiting for their body to fully adapt is definitely going to be, injury prevention.
Yeah, it's huge on injury prevention. I got real lucky when I was coming up. Like I always never looked like I could do what I could do. Right. Because any guy in the lineup next to me, if I'm 10 deep in a flight, I'm the smallest every time. Like when we went to California, I don't know if it was the meet you guys took me out there to or not, but there's one of it's me next to Larry Wheels. Yeah. I was squatting, then Larry Wheels was squatting. And it's like, that's a man. Who's that kid next to him? Like, you know what I mean? It's me just chilling. Like, oh, my.
Well, I remember in the animal cage,
he's squatting 8.
In the animal cage with the Arnold.
Same thing. Yeah. Like, I don't like no one, like, I don't, that's why, it's like, do you want to look like you can squat 800 or do you want to squat 800?
I want to
You have
look
be
like
very
I want to
specific.
look like I squat 1200 and squat 800.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I want to, like, you want both, but like
Yeah.
in powerlifting, it's
For
not.
sure.
You don't have. I mean, yes, you have some mutants. You have the Dan Bells. You have all these big refrigerator looking dudes, but a lot of them, you meet like a deadlift guy, and you're like walking down the street, you're like, he might work out, and he pulls 800, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Well, how does that even? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So like to have the mix of like the strength and the size is kind of, for me, I've never had that. Like I have a decent amount of size, but if you look at me, you're like, oh, he'll squat 5, maybe 6. His legs are big, but I'm like, yeah, 15 years ago I did that. Like it just, I've never looked my part. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
That's powerlifting though. You know, because you're training for strength. You're not training for size. Size will come.
And
Like I've gotten bigger, but it's like, what specifically are we doing?
And actually, in a perfect world, you don't get bigger, you just get stronger, and then you just keep wrecking house in your weight class. You start getting too much bigger. Now you got to change weight classes. Now you're probably the weakest guy at the next weight class up, right? Or if not the weak, you know what I'm saying? At least you're not.
Yeah, no.
You might be king at your weight class. All of a sudden, you're going against a bunch of guys that weigh 25 pounds more. Like that's, there's going to be a delta there for a little bit. It's going to take some time to make up.
Yeah. And that's what like people struggle with. They struggle to, and it's tough when you see the younger powerlifters. They're like, well, I want to stay in weight class because of it. I go, isn't the goal to get as strong as possible and kind of as big as possible in general with working out? I know we're being super specific on this. I go, but do you want to squat 5? I would tell them like, hey, you want to cut weight. Do you want to squat 500 at 165? Or do you want to make sure, like, and then maybe get it? You probably won't because you're cutting, you know the you're doing. Or do you want to squat 550 at 198 and dominate? And we're just going to keep chipping away and forget about the scale. As long as you're not sloppy, you know what I mean? Like, forget about the scale, grow. And then people are hindering their growth to stay in a weight class. And I fought that because I was training for world records. So that was my excuse. Yeah. But I kept myself in these weight classes for years that I was growing out of. And I was doing hard cuts because I'm like, I have to fit this box. This is my box. If I go into this box, it's too big of a box. Like I can't do it. And then eventually I'm like, I don't care. What am I, 214? That's not even a weight class. Don't care. I'm lifting. Like, and then I had my best meet ever 2 years ago. And I just walked in at 214. Cool. And I squatted, the best ever squatted, benched. I'm like, oh, this is what I've been missing. Cool.
Quit trying to hold yourself back. Right.
Right. And that's what people do. And if my excuse is always, if you're going for a world record, I get it. But if you're going in the sport to lift more weights, you can't hold yourself in this box.
Then let's lift more weights. So one thing that's interesting to me that's different than in powerlifting than in, call it weightlifting, is in weightlifting, I don't think anybody starts with their opener at a weight that they have not completed in training, right? Because you got 3 attempts, the snatch and the clean, especially the snatch, a little more precise, although I do think earlier we were talking about squatting and stuff. I do think that the technique in squatting and powerlifting in general is underrated. I think a lot of people think that, you just like try harder and it works. But most of the time when people fail a squat, like a 1 rep max is a skill set, right? Like you don't fail the squat very often. I'm going to phrase this a little better. I think it's very rare that you fail a squat because your legs aren't strong enough to move the bar. Right. Most often you fail because you get out of position. You get either, levered forward too far, you get to your toes, whatever, something's going on and you lose, the bar only has so much room forward and backwards that it can go. Oh, it needs to stay over your midfoot. Right. Like that's basically how it goes. If it gets too far one way or the other, that's just it. You're right. And then people are like, oh, I failed it. You're not strong. I wasn't strong enough. It's like, well, maybe you weren't strong enough, but maybe your midline wasn't strong enough. Your legs are probably good. That's probably not, you couldn't push because you're out of position, not because the weight was too heavy. Yeah. And typically, I'm not going to say majority, a lot of the times it's core. Always. It's forward, hips up. And it's like, I'm trying to teach people like, hey, shoulders up and chest up out of the hole with the bar. Because people get heavy. They're like, oh, I got to really lock in. Like, well, where were you 4 sets ago? What were we doing with the bar on 135? Like, what? You look at me when I squat. I'm like, I squat 135 like I'm taking 800. Like, yeah, I might not have the ammonia for the warm-ups, obviously. But like I will get in the headspace of like my backside. Like I go through my checklist in my head. I'm like, you don't just all of a sudden start checking stuff when you're 5 sets deep. What are you doing? Try to make every rep look perfect from an empty bar all the way up. I want them all to look the same. And also on 135, I'm trying to move that thing as fast as I can. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. With
and
intent.
I'm also trying to move as fast as I can when it's heavier. It just may not happen. That's the goal. I'm trying to move it as fast as I can. Right.
Yeah. And back to your point, it's typically never a strength. Typically, it's never a strength thing. It's always form. And it's just like, no, it would, what I always say is good, because strength takes a long time to build, but form, we could fix that in about 4 minutes if you listen to me. And then you'll come back and get it. You know what I mean? Like, I know what you did wrong. Just do what I say. So it's way easier to fix.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to the, I know you got to go here in just a few minutes. So we'll try and get this wrapping up here. But basically, I was going to get into a little bit in a powerlifting meet, a lot of times you might go out there and your opener might be a weight that's heavier than you've ever squatted before. Right?
Not if you're my client.
No.
I mean, that's the thing. That's what we see though. Is you're like, hey, dude, whoa, have you ever done that?
It'll be there on training day. It'll be there on meet day. I thought you said.
That's what's these. I'm like, you see it, and they're like, whoa, that was really hard for your first. What are you going to do for your second and third now? Like that was everything.
Fail.
Yeah. Typically, we definitely don't program for that. My general rule is you feel how do I word this? What you could triple on your worst day.
Got it. Oh, really?
So if that's what I go off, especially if they're inexperienced. Now, if they're like a 20 meets, 25 meets in, I can kind of push them, but it's like, you want to squat 500 a day? Or are you going to start with 4? Well, I know I could do 4. Well, how many times do you know I meet? Twice. Yeah. We're going to listen to Tom on this one. We're going to default to Tom. Like like you could hit that in your worst day because people get nervous. Oh no. And then you're like, hey, it's 405 pounds. Remember? Oh yeah, this is easy. Cool.
So is the goal a lot of times the way I would look at it for weightlifting in a way is, okay, so you have your opener, like bank one, right? Like bank an opener on your second attempt. Perhaps we're going for a meet PR. And then our third attempt, maybe we're going for a all-time PR. Is that kind of one way to look at it?
Yep. In an ideal situation, the first one is just let's get in. Let's shake the nerves. Usually the first squat's the hardest because everybody, for a majority of people, squatting is the hardest, right? So they're kind of nervous. It's a crowd, if they're not too experienced. And then like, okay, now I know I hit 440 last meet. Okay, hey, we're going to go for 446. And now I know I have 2 shots at it, right? Yeah. So, okay, we get it. And you're like, hey, you got 20 pounds in the shot in the bank. Maybe let's call it 30 pounds. I'll probably only give you 15. And so, I know you hit 446, but we're going to go 460. Well, but I got 475. We have to bench and deadlift. There's another part to this, and then there's another part after. So that's where like the good coaching is like we don't blow it up.
That's future Danny's problem.
Yeah, that's not my problem right now. That's lunch's problem. Like no. Trust me. Like if you can go 9 for 9, everybody's like you didn't try hard enough, or your coach knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah,
and 9 for 9 is a lot funner because a 3 for 9 is really not fun.
Yeah,
really, it sucks.
Well, it's better than 2 for 9.
Then you bomb out.
Or
like, I'm doing deadlift only now. Yeah, it's because you didn't get any other lifts.
You ever bomb out of a meet, Tom?
Once. One time. Yeah, but my only caveat is I missed my opener, so I'm super smart. So I go, obviously I missed that. I'm going to retake it, right? Give me the world record on my second. So I took the world record twice and I missed it. And then that was it. Then me and Dan Bell drank some beer and passed out.
I'll tell you what, there's something to be said for like getting 2 cracks at it though.
Yeah,
but normally
I have the balls, just not the strength or the form or the.
Normally, the time for that is if you're like weightlifting meet, you're going to clean and jerk, right? And you're behind, and you know what I mean. And so then it's like, well, if I know what I need to hit to win, and so instead of going partway there and going on my third attempt, like let's just put there, and I'll get 2 cracks at it. And if I don't get it, whatever, it wasn't gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of what it is.
I don't hate it. I mean, I kind of like that. Just like, it, let's just go for it. I'm not going to go for second. I'm going to go for gold. And if I mess up on the way there and I get 4th, hey, I tried.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get you out of here. I know you got something to do. So quick answers here. Lightning round. What is the worst lift to miss in front of people?
Squat.
There we go. Yeah, because you end up just like in a ball on the ground.
Yeah, what do you do?
Sideways and stuff.
Help me. Help everybody. Yeah. It sucks.
All right. What is the best out excuse for missed lift? Can you blame the judge at any point, or do you just have to own it? There's no way out
in a competition.
Yeah, sure.
Judge.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't know what they were looking at. Yeah. Judge.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
Yeah, that guy's not wearing his glasses. All right. Yeah. Most overrated accessory movement.
Barbell hip thrust.
Ah, right.
What are you doing?
Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah. Daytime now. Okay. Belt on warm-ups. Yes or no?
50% and above, yes. Of your
That's
max.
50% and above.
Yep.
What about belt on bench press?
Top sets, yes, in a meet, because the soreness from the squat can make my lower back cramp up. So I'll belt up during the bench to make sure I don't cramp up and I don't over fatigue it before deadlifts. So yes.
There we go.
And I have a squat belt, a bench belt, and a deadlift belt because I'm bougie. And my
three belts, one guy. All right. What is this? Who is the strongest person you've ever seen that trained completely wrong?
I wouldn't know if I would say wrong, but Dan Bell.
Okay.
We'd go out, drink all night. He'd have half a Jimmy John's sub sandwich, and at 4 p.m., that's all he would have in his system, and he'd squat 1,000 for 3. And I'm like, I know God says we're created equal, but I go, this isn't fair.
Yeah. I think that comes around to, sometimes if you're just not smart enough to know it's a bad idea.
He's got that down.
All right. Well, that's it. Tom, I definitely appreciate you coming on again. If you listen the entire episode arguing with an empty car about volume, intensity, and deadlift frequency, congratulations, you're one of us. Make sure to check out Tom Kallas for powerlifting program and all things strength, and go buy some coffee from caffeineandkilos.com. And if you like this episode, send it to the coach who maxes out every Friday while blasting dirty Euro house music and still sucks. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Not in My Box.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you, man.
All right. Later, brother.
Yep. Thank you.